preview of German Bundesliga 1 and 2 in English language now, this time 8th of November 2019. So the games start tonight. And I've chosen a different view now once again. And I hope you get along with it and we get through that together pretty well. And I held these in German language now, and I couldn't change this once again, but hopefully you understand this is preview and so on. And here next we see matches coming up, and if I show you a bit more than I usually did, or I have a different shape here, a different format, something like that, but it's just to show you that I'm doing quite some professional work, and I could actually explain every single figure, or we could trace it back or so. And what is important about this is, well, first of all, we see the games coming up, and secondly, we see the goal expectancies, which you can pause here and take them down yourself, and maybe do some statistics about these if you do that regularly. And actually, those are the values from the old system. Those are the goal expectancies that you see here. Actually, what could I do? Yeah, I could circle these to show you. And so these are the goal expectancies. If you see here the conversion rates and things, you see all those values are pretty close to each other, but still it is reflecting somehow who's converting his chances better than the other. And of course it's compared the values with the other teams. So if, for example, if you see a good value here or a decent one here, it means, well, okay, Dortmund have taken their chances well. Bayern may be defending well, but this season not so well. So you get somewhat higher values here on converting, and this is well, the conversion rate and things like that. And I'm not gonna go too deep here and not make it too long. Anyway, just to show you, it is some professional basis here. Just to be able to compare these values, if you would do the same thing here and take down those goal expectancies, those are calculated by the old system, reflected by the altes, that's old system. So they may be similar as we've seen here. You can compare them, or there may be differences, and I'm happy with both. If there's a difference, I can say, well, at least you know you are not so certain. There are different ways to calculate, or different viewpoints, more or less. If they agree, I'm happy. Now we still got the big question, do we agree with market or do we disagree with market? Of course, this is the most important thing that we are looking for, and that's of course the basis for this whole business. So, I mean, we need to make sure our calculation is good. Now we need to compare it with market, and I'm sure there are people around the betting market, or well, influencing the bet market and so on, with some decent calculations. But there are also a great mass of punters, participants in a market that do not do any kind of those calculations. So and they are also driving the market somehow. So we can still rely on, well, we will find something. I'm actually a bit worried that we find a bit some too many bets at the moment, which makes me worry as well about my figures. Because if I find a bet in every single game, then you would say, well, you can't, well, you can't be this much better than market, right? It should be right in 3 out of 4 cases or something like that, and then we find an error. Anyway, we go through that quickly. We got the table here. You can always check back. We could do that later as well if we look at a certain pairing or something like that. But I'm not trying to make it too long here this time now. So preferably, I mean, we all know the table rather. Gladbach, they are a bit lucky, but we see other tables in which well, we we can see that kind of luck reflected. And here, once again, I can point out those are the columns I look at. And if you want, so you can look at the next one as well at the neighboring side here, because this is how many points they won. So usually what you see here is tables, teams low in the table, they should have had more points. If you see a difference between this and that, which is the latter one being higher, because that's 10.58. I don't know how to take that back. I could do actually, but no, sorry. Well, if this is better, they played better than expected. If this is low, we get a very high indication here of plus 17.5. That means you want to support this side. If they play Augsburg, what they do, you also would even like to support Augsburg, but the least from all those sides down here. Because Augsburg, I had expected a low value here, and they confirmed this. So we got the table here and the points they should have won, which is sometimes, for example, Leverkusen had been unlucky, so you would like to support them and things like that. And Bayern and Dortmund and so on, I showed that on Monday. I may introduce this ranking once again, that Bayern and Dortmund are the two sides still most behind, because 22.95 expected, 19.77. They played at their efforts, as well as Dortmund 3.0 points behind. This is the maximum, although they are still the best somehow, right? I mean, that's why the table is so close right now, and it's so exciting, because the top two sides do not fulfill what you would have expected. Now we see this is the stored ranking. So if you want to look at this one back, then I mean, here you can start to doubt. You can simply say, well, this is not right. I still think Bayern are the best, and Dortmund and Leipzig should be behind. But the way it is now, too many bad results here, couple of good results there, so they take over. And we saw from the start that they were close together. We also saw from the start, or we remember from the start, that people were pretending more or less that this is Dortmund's season coming up, so they are gonna challenge Bayern really now with their improved squad and so on, and because they were close enough last season. I did take that over, but I'm not quite happy with the evaluation because because I think they are still a bit worse, but at the moment they are in fact ahead, because Bayern played so badly. Well, did they? Okay, just results, but bad, conceding goals and all those things, so they go down again, right, in the ranking. I mean, results matter, stats matter. In both, they were not so good, right? No good results, but also the efforts were just on the same level as Dortmund's and Leipzig, more or less. But they were close to from the start. If you see that home ranking, that's I mean, if this is sorted by the the best home side are in first place, it doesn't mean anything, right? They are as good as they are, but it means they are well, the best home side in comparison to how well they are in general. This is a ranking no one really knows of, and it's very hard to work it out. And of course, computer does it automatically, so I'm not investing any work into that just to get the ranking here, but not to work it out. Anyway, we got the home ranking, so in many cases we will find bets based on that. You can check the home record and the away record, and sometimes it would not even be reflected, because it means here it's rather on efforts. Did they play well, or did they not play so well? Of course, usually when you play better, you also tend to get the result, but sometimes you don't for longer spells. Anyway, just to show you a couple of rankings here, and I showed you once again, I've done that before, all those Asian lines. I'm usually, it's a bit confusing here, and I don't want to go too deep here as well. But you see, market is offering that Asian lines. This is an odds comparison site. And here we see that I'm working out all the true prices for any Asian handicap. You might also find minus 0.5 on Köln, which means the winning price for them. So if you get 2.58, you can start thinking about it. If you get 2.60, 2.65, you should do it. And I mean, also, well, here I didn't have, oh, I have the plus 0.5 line as well. So it's stretching from plus 0.5 to minus 0.5, but just for the Köln game. Anyway, many of figures, many things worked out here. I have to take care of that, and I have to make sure I'm getting, well, I'm getting things right. But of course, with 30 years experience, I know at least what I'm doing and what I have to do and how I do it. And now here are the proposals. So these are the ones. It's another day on now. I did not change the prices. I checked market here or there, and I saw prices have changed. But usually, well, I can't say really a tendency, but sometimes you do not get the prices, but sometimes you would get better prices. As you see the true price here as well, and the new, which is usually below, here it's higher, so Dortmund, but there's some margin in that one, 1.69, 2.02 you are getting. So you can, of course, well, you can still go for Paderborn if you only would get 1.88 or something like that, or whatever you wish to. You see the true price here, but it should not be below this price, which is rarely the case. In Köln, it could be the case, actually. I'm not sure. But you have to check that yourself and, of course, make up your mind and still say, I like this one, I dislike this one. So that's up to you. And it's also, I evaluate them here with 1 unit per bet. So if you like one better, you go for 5 or 10 units or 3 or 7, whichever you like. But here you can take these down. So we may find them confirmed once again. But as I'm saying, I tried to keep things short, which is not going to work again. Here we get the Köln under 3, Schalke under 2.75. You need those prices or somewhere around these prices. If there are changes, make sure you still got an edge or you like it, or yeah, I mean, Gladbach, Paderborn, we get the under, which sounds funny, but it's the bottom against 16th, so tight battle against relegation, and so on. So those are the ones that are indicated. So you may be happy with that. So quit here if you don't want to find out a few more things. Here I added this one while I have been doing the German version, and I think that's I'm pretty fine with that one. Especially new coaches, usually they bring in new players, and they usually strengthen defensive, right? Here I made one just to show you how much you could look at. It's not even everything, right? You got the table, how many points they should have won, who played better than expected or worse, prices from here. And here you got even an advertisement from Tipico, I think, which shows you the prices they pay. So you can compare it with this price, 2.58, right? This is still below, but it's close to being possible to go with Köln for this price. Here we got the review. You can remember loss, win, draw, loss, loss. So not going well for Köln, win, 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 win. Of course, that is why we prefer Köln now, because, well, too many wins here, and maybe some of them had been lucky. Here we see this kind of development of their efforts, and it may look confusing first of all at first glance, but if you get used to it, which I've done, of course, after a while, you may still you may after a while simply like it and enjoy it. I'm happy as soon as I see that, because I'm going to check the finishing line here, more or less, where they end up after 10 games, which they played now. And if the red one is good, I'm happy. I mean, I like the side, more or less. It still depends on a couple of different factors. But did they play okay? Yes. Did they play better than expected? They did. Did they play better than their results? A lot. So it's something, they deserve better. So that's why I would like to support them. Now we still got need the matching side somehow, a matching profile. They win, win, win. So these are the results. They won, won, won. This is the average line. You can forget it, but you can also say, okay, Köln not even far away from average, which is not the case in the table, right? If you look at the table, you see here they are 17th in table. So they are not average. No one would say that. Well, they are, because their efforts are. Hoffenheim are not even playing on expected level, although they may have stabilized here somehow. But results are way too good. So actually, it's ideal to take Köln. Still, you need a price because market also knows a couple of these things. So and things, and in this case, it does. But still, we got a small indication on Köln, which I'm not so exceptionally proud of because simply the price is not so good. But if you get a draw no bet 2.0, you should just you should just go for it. As I said, it may have gone down. In Köln, Hoffenheim, goal average, that's the same thing here. You can check that. Those are the efforts. The efforts are low. The goals are low. The under is indicated. You could even argue that Köln at home now they should go for a bit more careful approach because they would like to. Well, that's usually what you do when you're down in the table, low in the table. Anyway, the under is indicated. Nothing is counter-indicating it. Rather the opposite. This is confirming it. You don't have goals and the efforts are low. Red one is below the others. So that's fine. And in Schalke Düsseldorf, we got an indication once again on Düsseldorf who are playing well. That's what you look at, right? I mean, doesn't make a lot of sense to circle these because the lines are there. But this is they play on average level. No one would say that, and no one would trust that. But I can only take down the stats and then see once again, game by game. Okay, once again, good effort, good effort, good effort. If the results are not going along, which is not really such a bad misery, but they are still playing better than their results. And Schalke actually playing well, better than average and better than expected, and it's fine. I mean, they look good, but usually market makes them a bit too good at the moment. So we got a next indication on Düsseldorf, right? On the goals, I'm sorry if I have to check that. That's an under indication. I mean, we have Schalke as a clear under here because the efforts are under and results are under. So where's the problem? If Düsseldorf are slightly over by efforts, okay, that would be fine. If the over were indicated, we could argue. Now, they play over maybe, but the results are low. So, and the under is indicated. So we have got a very obvious underside against another side that are playing under. Maybe for some reason, maybe not, because the efforts are higher. But if it's indicated the under, we should not hesitate and not doubt too much. Although, I mean, you will always find reasons, and you always should be make sure you understand it's very, very small percentage we are fighting for. So to say, I'm not saying this is gonna be an under by no means, but it's a bit more tending to an under, slightly indicated. I mean, you can argue a lot about such games because you say Düsseldorf, they do not care, they are doing well. So why should they worry or whatever it is? But look back at the table if you remember. Of course, they are nowhere near any kind of safety or something like that. And anyway, it's indicated we are looking for these very, very small edges. In Köln, Hertha Leipzig, we see here, okay, Leipzig are doing well, are improving, are even better than their results. And but still a bit behind expectancies, which may sound like a little surprise. It sometimes depends on the opponents they are playing, right? Anyway, it is close. They are close together, and average a lot better than average. Hertha are lower, but I mean, I can't squeeze out the bet everywhere, and I'm actually happy if it's not happening. Here we can't find anything, and I can't really recommend anything. I'm just reading the profiles and compare it with market. We got no indication. Here we got a very, very clear under by efforts, right? And results are high. If the under is not indicated, I'm going to check that again. That is a bit weird for some silly prices. I mean, I had to check that back, but I'm not going to do that now, not to bother you. But maybe I have to make sure I'm doing all the figures properly, or even if I write it down, right? You sometimes compare something, you look in the wrong column, and you say, okay, it looks like an under here. So if you like it, you can go for it. It's under 3. But, I mean, we had 8 goals last week in Leipzig and so on. Hertha usually also some goals. So that would be kind of a hidden under a fancy man bet, something like that. But usually it should be indicated. That's what I was trying to point out. Which is not, well, it is contradiction here. That's what I can say between old and new. But I had to check that, which I'm not going to do now. Okay, in Mainz Union, we got an indication. We are going to go with Mainz. They are no worse. And here we got the phenomena of that home ranking, right? Because they are both in the green zone, so to say, in the upper half, in the plus zone. And that's why computer starts to like it. And well, I can only explain you how I'm gonna work out the figures and how they are responding, and it is indicated. Oh, sorry, I'm one page too far. I was just surprised. And okay, so we got an indication on Mainz, and there's. They are playing on eye level, more or less, in a table, or you could even say Mainz are still the slightly better side. They are beating their expectancies and their results, which they both do. So it's not based on this evaluation. This is simply fine. Mark is right, but it's home away ranking. That's what it's based upon. If you trust that, go for the bet. If you don't, or yeah, well, okay, you got the choice anyway. It is indicated, and I can explain why it is indicated. I'm steering, well, program computer steering those parameters, which I told him how to do it, and it's doing it in a regular and very reliable style. What can happen is that I make some wrong entries, but which I'm usually, well, you know what to do and where you have to watch out. Over under, I don't think we got anything here. You can try to read that profile. We got some goals here, no goals there, expectancies above, that one's below. So it's kind of contradiction in itself, which usually means you do not have any indication. In Paderborn, Augsburg, we easily can well, we can skip it by stating Paderborn are so much better by simple stats. Even if Augsburg played a bit better now and play on their expected level, it's still the much better level. Here we got the same scaling, and so you can see that instantly, right? They are better. I expected them to be better. They played better. Sometimes it depends on the opposition, because Augsburg may have had the better opponents, but this is reflected in here. Did they play on their level? Yeah, they did. Results are below, which means, well, nothing bad. I had them, rated them low, they played on that level, everything's fine. But if I find a better side and I get a good indication on them, so where's the problem, right? We want our Paderborn. We're happy with Augsburg, but we want Paderborn. In the goal development, we have an under here. Well, look at the red ones. They are both very low. Even if goals are coming, red ones are low, which indicates an under, in hidden under, kind of efforts are not for over. But you could also argue, well, the goals are coming because they are defending so terribly, which is partly maybe right too. But if they if they meet each other, it can be different. And we got a real battle for against relegation, you could say. And in those, you usually have a bit more tendency for an under. In the Bayern Dortmund, I'm very surprised that Market is telling me now to take Dortmund, or where do these lines come from? I mean, Hansi Flick is a new coach. Okay, maybe temporary. I'm not sure. But what would he do now? I mean, okay, he brings in maybe some defensive players. That's why we can go for the under. Or, well, he's gonna feel this one and put this one on the bench, but that's all he does. But they are playing on one level. So what is the cure now? It's and as we saw, Bayern, Dortmund were even overtook them. I mean, here you have to make sure you understand it depends on opposition, and it depends on many things. So even if you see Bayern higher here, but we got not the same scales here. That's 2.0. They play a bit below. They play also a bit below, but maybe still a bit better. But if you compare it with what I expected, and so on, so that's both are bad, but both are still well on a very high level. And I mean, both are struggling a bit, but Bayern, of course, a bit more because they already sacked their coach, and this is not so terrible. And this is also, as I explained, because I reacted to market to say Dortmund are as good as Bayern, more or less, which I didn't really believe, and well, it turned out they aren't, but they are still good. And they are still well. And this is one goal. I mean, how can you make one goal line for getting new coach in? But it's just silly. I don't know. It's for me, it's a mistake, and we will find out on Saturday night. But I can't say otherwise. Here we got the under. That's fine. I mean, they play on expected level, even if goals are coming. I mean, Flick is gonna try to strengthen defensive. That's for sure. And also in a top game, you have it slightly. This is like Paderborn Augsburg when they fight against relegation. They fight for the title. Both will possibly start a bit more carefully. And well, in general, here you got on average level. They got on expected level, rather under. But and also that neutralizing effect, right, when they play each other. So we got an under. It's not by miles, but it's still good enough, and I think I can trust that. In Gladbach, Werder, we got nothing on the sides. You can say here, and you can see here that Gladbach actually played quite well, but they lost their course here. They played a bit behind expectancies and even dropped below average with that 2-1 win in Leverkusen, where actually the stats were so much on Leverkusen's side that they just dropped down here, and they still had the result, and they usually have, well, results are way too high. They are even playing below expected and even below average, which sounds, of course, very, very silly when you hear that, but that's what the stats tell me, and I tend to trust that. But still, we have to find the over/under. What that would the sides if there is an indication, and then we can trust it. There is none, so we can be happy because Werder are also not playing so great, right? It's fine. It always looks okay actually when I see them. But it's the same for Gladbach. But they are all good. That's why Schalke also look very good. What am I saying there? Frankfurt. Look at Frankfurt, right? They may have lost yesterday in the EuroLeague, but usually they just look very, very good. 5-1 over. So who would why would you rule out others? Köln also played well, even if the results do not reflect this at all. Here we got goal development. You see the red ones on top. Here you see red one very high, even if the gray one is still higher. It's an over. That's an over. Maybe just by efforts, but it's an over. And so we got two oversides meeting, and then we have an over indication. And I'm not willing to doubt that too much. And I'm recommended, and you can trust it or leave it. Here we got Leverkusen and Wolfsburg, which is funny. You would say, well, okay, Leverkusen, that's our side. We're going to go for Leverkusen. But market always keeps them high. So market is right. I can't do much. We got no indication. I mean, I can't do anything. It's no indication here. Although Wolfsburg are just playing on average, a bit like Gladbach, right? They are getting the results, although this is dropping here. But they are still good in the table. But playing just average level and still very many points. And Leverkusen playing so well and behind in the table and so on. But I can't do much. If it's not indicated, we can't do anything. Here we got an indication under. This is under by efforts and by results. So we got an under already. This one is under by efforts and by results. So, I mean, although by efforts, by results a bit less than by efforts. I mean, it is indicated, so why would I have to mistrust that? What is wrong about it? It's an under. Here we got nothing on the sides. I mean, market simply noticed that Freiburg are playing the level, which is a very good level. Evaluation was fine. They play the level. They get too many points. We all know that Frankfurt always playing their high level, very high standard, carrying that forward from last season, which I didn't expect, as you see here. But they are playing it. They are confirming it. If this one goes down, it means they played Bayern, which they did. But they still confirmed it. So everything's fine, perfect. But it's no indication. We would like to, but we would like to take Frankfurt for the simple reason that this would be a clear indication. but market knows about these things, or it does, or it doesn't give us the price we want, and we do not get it, so we drop it. Here we got an over indication, and I can't see much wrong with that one. Red one high, results high. Here the results may be low, not way below, but a bit below. But this is an over, and I can't see much wrong with it. It's indicated, and here you see they play on the expected and average level, and goals are close. But here we got an over, very clear over, which is confirmed by results, which makes me wonder what market gets wrong about it, right? Anyway, I'm not gonna keep those circles here, and I'm gonna go straight into into this one, and I'm gonna do the same thing, right? I don't want to bother too much with these silly screenshots there, or whatever you saw there on screen. Anyway, we got the preview, we got the games here. Once again, you can pause it, you can take it down. I do not have this mouse once again, and I didn't produce it now, which I've done now. Once again, here we got these expectancies calculated by the new system, which you see here, based on those stats turned into a total value and multiplied with a conversion rate, which is close to each other, but you may have differences, small differences, which are just reflecting how well do they defend, how well do the others attack, or how do, you know, well, there is a formula for that, of course, that I could explain at a different place. You see here, I was just giving here you see the totals, the sum of these two figures, and here you see over under price, which usually you still have a 2.5 goal line throughout Europe, but not in Germany, because it's 2.75, more or even closer to 3 now, the average line. Okay, anyway, here once again we got these home goals expected. You can compare these with the previous page, and then well, check out the differences and so on, if you wish to also look back in the video later when we get there. So just to make sure I'm well, okay, I'm doing my job here, and I'm trying to give you some decent bets at the moment. Here we got the current table once again. I mean, usually we know this table, but sometimes you might still be surprised, or you check the points, how close are they, can they do with a win, or something like that, or who can drop down, or if Osnabrück win, look where they could jump. I mean, they could take over Osnabrück, Karlsruhe, 8th place, or something like that, whatever you like. You can check it here, or look at your club, or just keep it in mind, and whenever we find the bet, we can still check it. Here once again, we got the points they should have won, and the points they expected to win, which is later once again reflected in these graphs as well. That's what I mainly check when I see here. We can also look at the goals expected to score, goals expected, goals for expected, goals for should. So you can still compare sometimes. Okay, are Hamburg playing their level? Are they playing better than that? They should have scored some more than expected, because my settings were not so great, and they should have conceded some less. So they actually play better than expected, which is also reflected in those 25 points instead of this, or in the difference between these two, because they should have had more than I expected. But that's also a setting problem, if you want so, because I was skeptical a bit, although I know that all those big names, usually they can start a good run, and they get all that support, and yeah, usually they also got a bigger budget size, right? So that they get better players and so on. But we check all that, we have all these things in mind, we keep them in mind, and so on. Here's the stored ranking. Oh, I didn't show this, I guess, or did I? Oh yeah, I did, but maybe in a different shape. Anyway, here we got the stored ranking. I'm not sure now. And this is sorted by these values. And well, in Bundesliga 2, it usually is a lot closer together. In Bundesliga 1, we would sometimes have 2.0, or even over 2.0, and here we could go down to 0.6 or something like that. May not be the case early in the season, because those lower sides, when they start losing, then usually, well, quite often they lose their confidence and they simply go down, and once they lose the chance, which doesn't happen that often these days. But in Bundesliga 2, usually they do not go down. Now we had Dresden with many, many losses and bad results and so on, and they are bottom. But 0.76 is still a value with which you can, they are a full member, right? And they are no worse than the others, which is, I mean, they are worse, but someone needs to be in the bottom place, and it's them at the moment, because Wien, after 4 or 5 games without a loss, are of course better now. And Osnabrück, I mean, who would you take? They are okay, but still low, because the others are better. I mean, Darmstadt, you could argue, or Regensburg, but all of them, they get more points and so on. But it's close, very close, very close. And if Hamburg are on 1.66, that is already something, right? Because it's better than, 1.36. That's sometimes where they really are. And last season, Hamburg even finished lower than that, because they had a bad second half of the season. Now, that home ranking, we keep that in mind. We tend to go against those when they play on the road, or we support them when they are at home, the upper half, and here the opposite, right? So, but if we find two teams playing each other which are either both negative or both positive, then we got an additional kind of indication, and we can check that if it happens. Now, okay, we are already as far as that you get the bets, which are here. And if we take St. Pauli, actually it's not fully, none of these. I tracked them now because I've done the German version now. I write them down and I think, okay, that looks fine, it looks okay. If I look at it more closely, then sometimes I notice, oh no, well, too many reasons also in the graphs against it. If we have St. Pauli against Bochum, then here you got at least some English you would find. But if then I would say, well, usually I would not like to go against Bochum, and the price is also not very attractive. We do not want home sides. So if it's indicated, sorry, of course we can check here, and then we see Bochum plus, and who are they playing? St. Pauli. Both are positive here. So that makes it, well, just indicated. Of course, I can imagine St. Pauli winning and making a proper home game. But Bochum, you would say now, they beat Nürnberg, which was somewhat lucky on Monday, actually by stats, although they were up by 3 goals, and so on. In Wien, once again, something was troubling me. Oh yeah, plus 0.5 is a lot when they play in Dresden. Okay, so we can say, well, here we are happy. Okay, I can't say much. Here, of course, if we attack the big guns like HSV and Stuttgart, and we do that again and again, then you would say, well, they could at any point, right? They could, because HSV, they take on Kiel, take on HSV, and Osnabrück take on Stuttgart. You get half a goal, you get similar bets, right? Because Kiel, they are low in table, although efforts are a lot better, but HSV are also better than Stuttgart, as you saw in the ranking, and so on. So we got this price here, we got a somewhat lower price because market accepts Kiel being better, but still it's somehow that you feel, well, they can at any point, and you don't know where your money is gone, because you say, well, I saw the game, they were just better and they were winning, what am I doing? And this can happen, but it is by figures, and of course any bet you can win or lose. But well, I'm not fully happy about these, because actually HSV are good, Stuttgart are good, and ought to prolong, to extend that win against Dresden after 3 losses. And HSV also were very unlucky to get that 1-1 in Wien last time, so they may be a bit angry or so. But Kiel are a tough side, so anyway. In Fürth, that's the same thing. I mean, Sandhausen are not the side you want to go against, because they are simply good. Why would you take Fürth? So it's just one by figures or one by home ranking, which you can check here. They are minus, and where are Fürth? No, they are slightly plus, so it's not even one by home ranking. It's too close. So why would the computer like it? It is indicated, a new one is below, so but it's not a perfect bet. Bielefeld are just very, very strong, but if you hear the pairing Nuremberg against Bielefeld, you would say, well, I got my doubts. And because you simply say, well, I don't want Bielefeld favorites. I mean, okay, they played well and so on, but you always would hear that name Nuremberg and you would say, well, at any point they can be better. That's more or less what market says. We got our figures and we got the conviction. What is it, conviction? That Bielefeld are just playing so strong, and so we go for it. Here I made a mistake. Okay, that does not belong here. Draw no bet. That's the only one, so I had to actually do something like that. And Heidenheim against Hanover. Same thing here. We're playing against the big guns. Somehow they relegated. Now they sacked their coach. Slomka is gone. And now you could say Hanover are gonna step up a gear. I'm not sure. Heidenheim are doing well. You can't say anything in every game they play. The efforts were not perfect, but they are always in there for a fight. And somehow they they look trustful. They pulled 2 goals back twice against Stuttgart and one other game. So they are, yeah, but you can say that about every game. Now we got Karlsruhe minus 0.25. It doesn't sound so good. I was showing that with Fürth and so on. And not Fürth, sorry, Aue who are not that good. But still the price is simply low. We can check home ranking here. Now we will most likely find them upper half. Yeah, they are both upper half with plus. That's why we have this indication, and the price usually, well, market would simply be right here. And we don't even have a huge margin here. So it's an optional bet, you could say, or do you like it? Or yeah, okay. Now we get just 2 over under, which I may go through a bit more quickly. Here we got old and new are fully agreeing on that. And goal performance is minus, so what's wrong? Stuttgart will play their game of, Osnabrück had a 3-3, but before that, in Regensburg, but before that they played twice 0-0. So what's wrong? I mean, they are an under. If it happens, yeah, okay, a goal can always come, but Stuttgart are the side to control the game and simply, score a goal. And now they are under this result pressure, more or less. So you can say even a bit more if they should score a goal, which we don't want to happen. Then they could still also it could be very well an under because they just are able to keep out Osnabrück. Here we got an over, very clearly indicated. Both are fine in the table, as we know, so we can put that one in as an argument, right? We can say, well, okay, they don't need to worry. Now we got I was talking about this one already. Bochum are the side better than expected. They are playing their level, okay, fine. Better than results, okay, fine. Close to average, okay. It's still not a huge margin, but minus 0.25. Just simply, I mean, I would say I take Bochum. Then I see the figures and so on. Well, why is St. Pauli indicated? Okay, home ranking. We find some reasons, but not a perfect one for sure. So you can skip this one. I'm gonna evaluate it anyway for sure. And see what I'm. Yeah, okay. And St. Pauli won't no over under. You can see that that one's high, the red one, the other one is low or below the results. It's still an over. Yeah, would be kind of an over somehow, but it's just around the true price. So market also considers it an over because there are always these goals in Bochum games. Although in St. Pauli's they are missing, but it's just well, it is close to an over, so make sure you understand. I mean, it's close to an over, or I was just checking it again, but it's not just enough. Here we got Dresden-Wien. Of course, we had that same game kind of in Paderborn-Augsburg. Here we got the somewhat better side at home, or considered to be better. But you see here, there's not much of a difference. They both, that's the same scaling here. So even if Wien dropped down a bit, also Dresden dropped down. They play behind expectancies because I overrated them maybe, because I thought they are just a good side for this league, and even I had them pretty well. And was not fully right, but that's not a huge mistake. They improved on results. You see, even if they would be slightly worse, that would never be half a goal. I mean, it's just one level, and it is okay. That one is go through. I mean, I'm happy with it. Here we got nothing. I'm gonna try to finish it. Maybe red one low, red one high. So that's ruling out. I mean, an over it would somehow, but I wouldn't do it anyway. And the over is nowhere near it because that's a game when bottom sides meet. So you wouldn't really fancy an over, and it's not even indicated. And you see here, that's what I said when Riem changed the style. They instantly the goals went down. Also the efforts, but not by that much. But the goals, it means something. Osnabrück, okay, they are not playing. I also was setting them pretty well, like Wien more or less, and I thought they are just good promotion winners, and usually they get this euphoria somehow, and they are not really fulfilling that. Still, it's a fine, decent level. Well, not quite average. You couldn't expect that, or I did, which was wrong. But it's not far away, and it's better than results, which is fine. Also, Stuttgart are playing better than expected. Okay, that's good. They are one of the top sides. I can't say a lot. It is indicated. We got half a goal. We got a decent side here, and of course they are good. But that's 1.2 maybe or 1.2, and they play a 1.7 or something like that. That would be half a point, which can somehow be translated. We got home advantage on our side. It is indicated. I'm not fully proud of this one. And here we got the under indication. You can see a few goals, red one under. Okay, here you can see, okay, they play that level of goals they had, which is slightly an over, but we actually have too much of an under. Sometimes we can check that as well in the home ranking when you can compare, which I'm not sure something would reveal something, but just to show you that we got something more to compare and to possibly get something, squeeze something out. Because if you compare these two figures, that would mean Osnabrück are at home a bit more of an under than away. It's not by much, so we can also forget that. But that's what these figures indicate here, right? So anyway, it is indicated, well, and Stuttgart market noticed these goals had been coming, efforts are there, but I would say with the results now a bit standing out, a bit too bad, they would rather choose the different approach, and they are under anyway. So if it's indicated, I'm not too worried. In this case, in Kiel HSV, we got Kiel. Okay, they always play this very good level. Maybe HSV is still better because that's not the same scaling. Two should be up there. I couldn't do much about it. But they are playing better than expected. They are a good side. They play on that 1.7, 1.75, 1.8 maybe even. But they are not by far not far enough away for half a goal, right? That would be 1.6 even. Even if that's 1.8, that's different to the game before when we had these 0.5 points between them. Here we got 0.2 points only between them, and we got half a goal, and we got the here we got also, oh no, that's opposing ends. But HSV with a bigger plus, which means we want more against them on the road, and we wouldn't want them at home. But if this is still a plus for them, because this value is lower than that, then it's still an extra point, right? So it's a very, very solid indication here. And this one, of course, I would say Kiel appeared to me, they appear good enough to really challenge HSV, who are still a bit angry after that 1-1 and really will focus now, which makes a small difference to me, right? Here we get no indication, maybe check that, red one high, red one low, so that's why I'm gonna go through quicker. Now, here we got an indication once again. We got Fürth doing okay, even better than average, which is fine, but also this is true for Sandhausen, who are even the better side. So why would you take Fürth then if you still got it? If the computer wants it, I'm not gonna change it now, but this one looks far from perfect, and I wouldn't even, well, if I would see that first, I would take that bet back, I guess. Still, it's a solid indication, so it's hard to argue. I mean, we got that home ranking. Can we bring that up once again, or can I do that for you? Most likely, we should have something here. That's minus. That's good already. And which was the others is still plus. So it is a little minus, but by far not just enough to justify this bet, right? So I'm not proud of this one, and I wonder a bit where it comes from. But it's the same basis here. So if I made an entry error here, that's reflected. I mean, you see that I can't have done that, and a calculation error you can actually exclude. And here we get over under, no indication. Here I would say a huge difference between efforts and results. Market would always consider them an under. It looks a bit like an over, but all we got here is some contradiction between old and new. So I can't bring these two together, which makes some sense, right? And I won't argue too much about this one. Nuremberg, Bielefeld, we just have this very, very excellent and almost, this is Kiel or better, but Kiel are, of course, not getting the points, but 1.6 is always, and you saw here, HSV and Stuttgart not that far away. And although Nuremberg, by the way, they still play their level, which is still better than average. So that's why I would wonder, why would this be indicated? But I'm going to trust it now, and I'm going to leave it here. Or maybe next time I can take down the bets while I'm doing it. When I'm doing this here, and then we would say no, we don't like it. Anyway, goal development, we got here no indication, no contradiction we got here. How do we get that? Well, that's because there are too many goals coming. That should be an under by a new system, and it will be an under. But I can't say much against all those goals coming, which the old one takes in. So I mean, it looks like an under actually, and that would be, I'm a bit more following the new system, and that would tell me under, right? So this one looks like an under, which is not a bet, and I'm not gonna take it in. But if you like it, you can, of course, you can try any one, but there is some justification for that. Here we got the only one where there's no indication. Both are not so good. They are both not so good, but market somehow noticed it. Although this is still, don't forget, this is no worse, right? Because that's 1.5 here, and that's 1.5 up there. So if you move this up here, then they are on one level. Market doesn't get anything wrong here, and so we can't do anything. In Darmstadt, so we also got no indication on the goals. Well, it would be hard to argue. Here would say that still the hidden over that Darmstadt are. Here we got the goal, so we should have an over kind of, and it is not indicated. Not even by the new system, so it's not indicated. Market getting it right. I'm not the one who needs to find reasons for that and argue for them and say, yeah, market, I know why it's not making an error there. Okay. So just getting it right by some coincidence or whatever you wish to. Here we got Heidenheim indicated. We got this problem, of course, of Hannover not getting the results. They also played worse, which was very obvious. That's why the coach had been sacked. But it would be above average. So not so much of a reason, but Heidenheim are also playing above average. And if we get a draw no bet with a decent price, 1.91, that sounds good. Where is the difference? Why should Hanover be the clearly better side? And here we got one more thing to show. Oh no, we got one more game. Over under. No, that's not indicated here. We are not gonna look for reasons for that. Here we got one more side. Also are doing okay. That's close to average. Somewhere on expected level, on result level. That's fine. And they just get too much. They play expected level, which is pretty okay if they do so, and they shouldn't be relegated, because that's still good enough. But of course, anyone can, with a bad run, it can happen. But they are too much better for this minus 0.25 line. We may have the home ranking as well on our side, which I don't need to check now. You could do that, but we simply got the better side, minus 0.25. Doesn't sound so great, but that's how things go. And now we got the goal average. Here we got the over. Well, you see Karlsruhe are an over in all instances, and they are not wrong, badly evaluated, and also the goals are there. So what could be wrong with this one? So we're happy with that. I think what I got eventually for you are, as I'm going to quit this one here, I'm not going to keep those changes. And just the last thing that I wanted to show you Here are all the bets. I collected them all, and from start to finish, right? Here we would have that old scrolling phenomena, which makes it very. But we started 2nd of August. That's the winners are in green and the losers in red, and sometimes you get half a win or so, which is still green. If there's a 0, which also happens, it may be green. It's meaningless, although it looks nicer if it's green. But +1, -1, and so on. So you could, and you could check out all the videos back, and maybe just to make sure also the quality that I was evaluating the bets. We will see these on Tuesday, because those are all the bets at one glimpse. What would you say? So here are all the bets for this weekend, and we did argue about a couple of these second Bundesliga. All the others, they looked fine, and see what happens. Of course, it's plenty of bets, which sounds a bit a bit silly. I'm a bit, I would be happy if we would have eight bets a weekend. Okay, that would be fine. But to have 20 something, how many? 22. Well, it just sounds, we got 36 possibilities, because we always got the side and the, so 18 per league, side and goals, and we got 22 of these. No, there's something wrong, but we will see on Monday what happens. But anyway, okay, thanks a lot for watching. I'm gonna stop this one. I was talking about, no, I'm not gonna start this. Leave your likes, share, comment, and subscribe, please, to my channel.